They're like the first ones to do it. So, and it's always like the world. I mean, look at the world in those movies like that. It's like post-apocalyptic. Yeah. Always, the world is destroyed. Welcome to the Not For Nothing podcast, the place where ideas unfold and conversations take flight. Topics such as relationships, everyday life struggles, and more with your hosts, Christopher Michael and Robert Evan.
How you doing, Chris?
What's going on, Robbie?
I'm just happy to be here.
Actually, you know what? Before we get started, why don't you hand me a piece of that gum?
That bubble gum?
Yeah, that Mentos. That Mentos that gets rid of your halitosis.
That good. That dad breath.
Your dad breath. I was just going to say your dad breath. Yeah, the mic in front of you usually helps.
Oh, does it, Chris? You're so fucking smart. You should be a producer.
It usually does. Just saying. So, man, what's going on?
The machines are taking over, Chris.
The machines are taking over.
Machines are coming.
They're going to be taken over soon enough.
Are you for or against it? Or mixed views?
For AI?
Yeah.
I'm for it in certain ways.
Yeah.
As long as it's kept under control.
Well, that's the $1 million question, right? Can it be kept under control?
I don't know. Do I want a robot walking around my house? Probably not. I don't even trust cats when I'm sleeping.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they are. You ever hear like stories like that?
Of people who don't trust cats?
You know, it's like smother you in your sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you have, a fucking panther walking around your living room?
Go and lay on your face.
Don't you usually like...
Well, you would hope you'd wake up.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, like...
And they just grab on.
You got bobcats in your living room?
I'm telling you, there's one little Persian. That's all it takes.
Fucking muscular.
Smothers you to death.
Shh. This hurts me more than it hurts you.
Go to sleep. Like, yes, I don't know if I want it to be like iRobot with Will Smith, but
it's tough, right? Like I see the arguments for both sides, but it's scary as hell. I mean, if you just like reference movies, you talked about iRobot, like The Matrix, yeah. Terminator. It's pretty terrifying of what it could become. What were we watching the other day? What movie?
Oh, it was with Denzel Washington's son.
Yeah.
Man, what was it called? What was that movie? Denzel Washington, AI. It was like the robots were trying to take over.
Yeah, essentially, just like every other movie, they started like a war. Where,
yeah. You ever notice all AI movies never end with anything positive? It's always the AIs destroying the world.
The world always gets destroyed.
That seems to be the consensus.
Yeah, and Terminator, I guess they did. Terminator 1 and 2. Like, they destroyed the world, but then they went back in time. So in the movie, it wasn't yet destroyed. But in the future world, what was it, the T-1000 and the T-2000?
Yeah, but my point is, like, it's always the AI. It was called The Creator, by the way.
The Creator.
Yeah, it was actually, from what I fell asleep during the middle of it, but it seemed pretty good. But yeah, no, my point was the consensus is always that, like, the AI is going to try to destroy the world and eradicate humans.
Well, that's the philosophical argument, right? If you give a machine self-awareness, what happens?
Right, but why not make a movie where we all, coexist and live happily together? It's always got to be like doomsday scenario.
Because would you pay $47 to go to the movie where it's like, hey, what's up, Jerry? Hey, Mike.
Well,
maybe just like a robot just watering his grass. Like, oh, Sheila's busting my balls. Got to hang the Christmas lights. And it's just like,
I'd watch a movie where it's like, everybody coexists and there's just one villain. And the villain just happens to be an AI, as opposed to them all collectively trying to take over the world.
Well, the idea, though, I think in a lot of the movies is the reasons where AI or why AI destroys the humans is because as they become self-aware, they realize that the humans are going to destroy the planet.
Right.
So they're doing like this ethnic cleansing where essentially they think they're being the noble ones and eradicating the problem, right? Like that's generally the basis of most of the movies. Right. It's not robots, we're just going to kill humans. It's like, no, we don't do this. This is going to happen. So now for our survival, now we need to kill the humans.
Yeah, no, I get it. You know what bothers me about the whole premise of it, though, is like, they're robots. Like, there's nothing that they need to survive on this planet, really. By eradicating us, it does nothing for them. It saves the planet, but...
Well, if we destroy the planet, then... Because if we destroy the planet, then they're also inevitably destroyed.
Short of the planet blowing up. I mean, why? They don't eat. They don't sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
They don't
nuclear
need
war,
shelter.
like blowing the planet up, nuclear war, I guess is the
Yeah, I
ultimate,
guess.
like,
Yeah, to that degree.
Yeah.
But they're every time in the movie, it's them.
there's always nukes, though. The Matrix, they
nuclear
nuke the
war.
sky.
Right,
In
that's what I'm
Terminator,
saying.
they nuke the planet.
It's always a nuclear war that they impose on us.
Yeah, in
Always.
your movie, they nuked LA.
Right.
There's always a nuke involved.
There is. So they're like the first ones to do it. So, and it's always like the world. I mean, look at the world in those movies like that. It's like post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Always. The world is destroyed.
Yeah. I love, do you ever watch those shows?
It's amazing.
I don't know if it was Nat Geo or Discovery, but they'd be like, I think it was called Afterlife, and it would just show like New York City, like what it would look like 10 years after the first human, 50 years after the first human, like 500 years. And it just shows like nature slowly clawing back into the city and essentially just destroying the city.
Well, just covering the building and all.
Yeah.
Like grass, trees.
I mean, they found so many monuments now that like they thought were just hills and mounds. And it's like, no, that was a temple from like 4,000 years ago. That doesn't make sense that they had the tools or the knowledge to be able to build it. And it's facing directly in line with the sun and like the equatorial rotation. You're like, oh, it doesn't make sense from 4,000 years ago.
Yeah, well, obviously it did.
Yeah, well, we can't figure it out.
But yeah, there's scenes like movies like an I Am Legend where they show a scene like that.
But the city being taken over,
Yeah,
returning to nature.
Yeah, by wildlife, grass, trees, everything. The buildings covered and falling down.
It doesn't take a lot. I mean, like the infrastructure of New York City, I couldn't give you a number on it, but I know obviously the subway is underground.
Right.
The trains run underground. And the amount of pumps that they have to have throughout to be able to pump out the water, because New York City is like pretty much at sea level. Like it is not much above.
No, it wouldn't take much for sure.
Right. But like if you let that go for a day, immediately transportation is now destroyed. You start losing major hubs. There's benefits to it too.
So yeah, I mean, as far as look at all the maintenance they have to do. I mean, if somebody really just stopped taking care of the city,
yeah,
I mean, it would have to get overgrown pretty quickly. I mean, I think any part of the world would.
Right.
I mean, think about it. I always see guys on the highway cutting the grass, trimming the trees, cutting down everything.
Let that go. Start growing into the lanes.
Imagine just like 2 years of not doing any of that.
Yeah.
I wonder how bad it would get.
In 2 years?
In 2 years.
I'd say horrible.
You think so?
Think about...
I think it would take over the roads for sure.
Think about driving on Taconic and there's one down tree. Like, now you can't use that highway anymore.
Right. Just never pick it up. Just let it go.
That tree now prevents anyone from using that highway.
Right.
And that happens all the fucking time when you carve a highway through the middle of a mountain in upstate New York. Like it gets overgrown pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It wouldn't take long. It wouldn't take long at all. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about AI, man. I like it for certain things. I love ChatGPT.
Yeah, well, it's incredibly helpful.
Yeah, I think
what
it's
about
awesome.
like we talked about Musk before? What about self-driving cars?
I don't mind self-driving cars.
Would you feel comfortable though being in one?
I mean, they're self-driving now. You just have to touch the steering wheel like every 2 minutes or something like that.
The Teslas.
The Teslas.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm saying like
I wouldn't be comfortable sleeping in it while it drives for me, like some of these schmucks try to do.
All right, but if like the ethical question is, if you have a situation like self-driving cars where it could impact human lives,
right?
You're depending on that machine to make a split-second decision to save your life. Like, do you have a comfort with that? I get you're not going to, start hibernating in the trunk while it's driving,
right?
Or snoozing off even in the front seat. But like the idea that you're doing this, you're checking your phone, if you're a woman, you're throwing on makeup, and a guy, you're shaving,
doing your mascara.
You're doing your mascara. Split-second decisions. Like, are you trusting that to a vehicle?
Probably not.
Right.
I probably wouldn't trust that to most other human beings.
That's a fair point.
Seriously.
That's a fair point.
I just like to, I'd like to be in control of my own life.
Yeah.
But leaving it in the hands of a self-driving car, probably not.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it would have to be, at least not today. We'd have to be so far involved in it. And even then, it would be hard for me to just sit back but I guess, like anything, we evolve and adjust. So maybe I would be.
I see Tesla just recalled 2 million cars.
I know.
Yeah.
Because of the auto driving
the
safety.
sensors, yep.
Yeah. It's wild, dude.
Not what you want.
That's a lot of fucking people at risk.
Another part of it is the privacy issues, where AI applications often require vast amounts of data to function effectively. This raises concerns about privacy, as the collection and analysis of personal information can lead to unintended consequences and potential misuse, which I could argue we're going through that now anyway, right?
We've been doing it forever.
Right. And now with things like,
I just think they have a more efficient way of doing it now.
Well, we've talked about this before. How many times, and even Doug, have you just said something. You've never searched for it online, and then you go on your phone and on Instagram, there's an ad for whatever, the thing you've never searched for in your life. It's
Countless
not,
times.
yeah, it's not like, oh, that's a weird coincidence. When it happens 14 times, it's not a coincidence.
They look at everything you search, like over the history of however long a period of time, and then they create like almost like a file on you, like
the data table. Yeah,
right. It's like a data table, right? And they know or have an idea of what you're typically gonna like. So they're just kind of always throwing stuff out there. But it is crazy that they collect data like that. And then what really fucking freaks me out is when you have an Alexa or a Google Home.
Oh yeah,
The fucking thing's always listening.
I don't plug mine in. I won't use it anymore. I threw it away.
Fuck out of here, dude. There's sometimes I say things and
It just
starts
in.
chiming in. And I'm like, what the fuck?
No, wasn't talking to
I
you.
swear, I wanted to almost fucking throw it into the woods the other day. It just out of the blue. My brother said something on the phone and just happened to mention the name Alexa. The fucking thing picked up his voice from over the speaker in the living room. And just
in his place?
Yeah, and started doing a search. No, in my mother's place, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's crazy. Couldn't believe it. Like, that's scary shit.
It is.
Like,
That's why I don't have the Siri on my phone activated.
Right.
Like I just, it makes me, and look, I'm not some nut job. I'm like, look, I get it. I have a social security number. I have a credit card. I have a debit card. Like I'm already on the grid. Like
Right.
I totally get that. But I don't also want to give additional information either. I don't want my camera looking at me when it's not supposed to. I don't want my microphone on my computer or on my phone recording me when it's not supposed to.
Right.
But I know damn well it is.
Listen, we're Americans. We have the right to privacy. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like one of our like God-given rights. Like there should be no circumstance in which that privacy is infringed upon.
I agree. But
so
it is.
having any kind of system in your house that's listening constantly, and they say that it listens, always listens. Like that's how it pulls up things on your search engine without you even having searched it before.
You're getting ads for things. You're
Right,
getting targeted.
Right. Because it's
targeted
always
marketing.
Right. It's always collecting data on you, which is wild. Like it's just like what's wrong with just letting people fucking search for it? Like just let me search for what I want. I don't need you to put it in front of me.
Well, it goes back to advertisers because if you have Instagram, for example, that's doing targeted marketing because they know your preferences and they hear what you're saying and they see what you're looking for, then they know that advertisers are willing to pay them more money to advertise on their platform because they have a higher probability of selling their products to individuals.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, but I look at it this way. Like if I'm on fucking Amazon ordering Red Bulls every fucking day, then if they come out with a new form of Red Bull, yeah, okay, fine. Send me that. But don't start collecting every fucking little thing that I do and then start giving me like, you know, things that are somewhat like it or similar or something that I may or may not be interested in because I bought this product. Like I didn't ask for any of that.
Right.
And I don't need you collecting enough data on me to gauge whether or not it's something that I would like.
Right. It's, yeah. If I didn't search for a couch and I had a conversation with a friend 2 weeks ago about buying a new couch, don't start giving me advertisements for Bob's Discount Furniture.
Right. Doesn't mean I want a fucking couch.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I'll let you know when I want the couch.
Like sometimes I'm just having a fucking conversation.
It's the presumptiveness of it for me, which drives me up a wall.
Oh, yeah, it is very presumptuous.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like, don't tell me what I want. I will let you know.
That's what they do. It's like subliminal messaging.
100%.
You know, that's what they do.
You want a couch, Chris?
Yeah. You want a couch? No, you want this couch.
Buy the couch.
Buy the couch.
Now, there's two arguments for and against job displacement, right? So with AI, you think that you have the creation of technology, you can outsource people, right? People are no longer needed to do it. The other side of the coin, though, is in regards to it creating jobs. So economic growth and job creation. So the adoption of AI technologies can contribute to economic growth by creating new industries and job opportunities. While some may be automated, AI can also stimulate the creation of new roles and industries requiring human skills for development, maintenance, and oversight of said AI systems.
Yeah, that's fine, but it takes far more jobs than it creates. So when people say that to me, I'm like, there's just no way that it's going to provide. It might make a different industry of jobs.
You might create 4,000 jobs at the cost of eradicating 10K.
Yeah, it's going to take far more jobs from people than it's ever going to provide. Not to mention what's going to wind up happening is because of what it is, it's going to be jobs in a very specific field, right? People are going to have to be educated to a certain level because it's all technology. It's AI. Like not just your everyday person is going to be able to walk in and take one of those jobs. So who are they creating jobs for? They're not creating jobs for the everyday person, that's for sure. But they're eliminating jobs for the everyday person.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so it all comes down to like them trying to use AI to save money on their bottom line by eliminating staff. But that's ridiculous. First off, How can you eliminate that much staff and still stimulate our economy? How can people,
Well, you're going to destroy the economy.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the biggest factors for looking at how our economy is performing as a whole is the unemployment index.
Absolutely.
Like that is one of the biggest criteria for saying, like, if we're in a good spot, if unemployment's, between 4% and 6%, we're probably doing pretty good as a country.
Yeah, for sure.
Or at least getting better, heading in the right direction.
Right.
If unemployment's 10% plus, meaning 1 out of every 10 adults in the U.S. is not working,
Right.
probably some shit happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty black and white to me. If you start taking away jobs, people aren't going to spend money, and that's when the economy goes downhill.
Yeah.
You need people to spend money. So what are you going to do? You're going to provide 4,000 jobs in AI, and you're going to take away 50,000?
Yeah.
So I just don't understand where they make up that difference. Like, what are they going to do?
Would you argue, or would you make an argument for the idea that medicine it's kind of a different argument than AI, but that medicine is slowing our evolution as a people?
Why do you say medicine, though?
Because you look at, like, all right, so if you can believe in the idea of Darwinism, which I hope you do, evolution,
Yep.
Survival of the fittest.
I do.
So if you're taking ill people and you're helping them,
Right.
are you slowing evolution by not letting natural selection occur?
You see, that's like a gray area to me, though, because you should never just let a life die, like somebody die.
Well,
you should never just let a life go.
There's moral
simply
implications on
because-
it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Morally, it's shot. I mean, so what are you going to do? You're just going to let everybody who's not contributing to a certain degree just kind of die off?
Is that your idea?
No, it's not my idea at all. I think that's what you're proposing, though. Is that what people should be doing? I think that's what. Why
I'm not proposing anything. I'm just posing the question.
At that point, you can't even make an argument for why have doctors, why have medical facilities, why do any of that? If you're just going to let natural selection take place, then
Well, you haven't let natural selection take place. Ideas that you have a family, you love the family, you build a bond with people, and you want to protect them at all costs.
Of course.
So I'm not saying there's not a need for doctors. Don't get me wrong. If I got sick, jack me up with every pill and syringe in the world.
Right.
Like,
but
let's go.
What I'm saying, though, is that's not how it used to be, right? So, like, survival of the fittest, before we had everything we have, technology, doctors, medicine, it was the weak faded. They get sick and they die.
Yeah.
There was nobody there to save them.
Imagine dying from like a splinter in 1820.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? There was no antibiotics. So if you were going to live by that standard, survival of the fittest, and just letting the people who are sick die off, then there'd be no reason for doctors, because you'd either get sick and die, or you'd get sick and you'd live. And that's how we would determine who lives and dies. Yeah. So
the argument or the question, though, is do you think it's slowing down evolution?
I don't think it's slowing down evolution. Why, you think it's slowing down evolution?
I
don't think so.
I do.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's always people out there pushing us forward. I don't think that some people, or those people you're referring to, affect us one way or the other, to be honest with you. I think there's always somebody pushing us forward as far as technology,
I'm not talking about technology. I'm talking about us as a physical species. I'm not talking about the evolution of medicine. I'm not talking about the evolution of science. I'm talking about the evolution of us as a people, as a species.
What are we evolving to? What are you referring to? Where are we trying to evolve to as a species?
I don't know what we try to evolve to. I don't think that's how evolution works. I think you naturally evolve.
Well, I think as people, we evolve in the things that we do: technology, medicine, right? Like industry. Like those are the things that evolve.
Right. But I'm not talking about things. I'm talking about us as a human, like us, having the ability to see better, to hear better, evolving to natural conditions when we're kind of taking nature out of it a little bit and now implementing science.
So like grow wings and fly?
I mean, there are animals that didn't have wings that now have wings.
Right.
Over tens of thousands of generations of evolution.
Right.
But generally you evolve wings if there is a need for you to have wings. It's, so can I say we have wings? Maybe in a million years, if humans are still a race, then we might have wings. If there is a need for us to have wings, it's certainly possible.
Right. So, I mean, I guess you'd have to look back to back in the caveman days or the ice age. Like, did human beings evolve to a place where, I don't understand.
Brains got bigger.
Yeah, brains got bigger because we learned, right? I guess so. That's learning, right? That's our ability to educate ourselves.
But our brains didn't get bigger because we learned. Our brains got bigger because there was a need for it.
Right. So outside of that, what else have we evolved to? Like, what transformation has the human species gone through?
I mean, we started as a single cell organism, and here we are today.
Right, but you're talking about like the beginning of life. I'm talking about since those days.
So what are you saying? Like the next 40 years?
No, like what real evolution aside from those things are named, standing up straight, our brain getting bigger. We're not going to evolve into having, webbed feet and fingers so that we can swim underwater or breathe underwater. We're not going to evolve to a point where we need wings to fly because we haven't yet. Why would we?
If there was a need for it.
Yeah, but why would anybody, like, why would saving people that would be considered the weakest affect us from doing that?
The argument is that essentially you're fucking up nature by introducing science.
Right.
You're messing up the natural course of nature by introducing science. I'm all for medicine. I'm all for science. I'm all for doctors. Not saying I'm not. I'm just proposing a hypothetical.
Yeah, I guess. But like I said, by that definition, then there should be no doctors. We should just be living the way we live, and where the chips fall, they fall.
I'm not saying there shouldn't be doctors.
I know you're not saying that. I'm saying, but if we were to live that way.
They could also make the argument that we evolved to become smart enough to have people to be doctors.
Right.
You could argue it both ways.
Right. No,
just
absolutely.
giving you a hypothetical, Christopher Michael.
No, I know. I'm just saying, I just don't necessarily think that it holds us back from evolving. I think if the human species is going to evolve, it's going to evolve one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm all for like AI in the medical place. Like, if you can plug in all of these symptoms, all of this data, my past medical history, my family's medical history, and you can create this algorithm for it and say, look, this is likely what you're going to experience. Like they even do it now, and I don't know the accuracy of it, but like a lot of the DNA tests, it'll tell you what you're predisposed to based off family history, based off your personal health. And they have blood tests now. Like there's 2 different types of blood tests. I think it was Andrew Huberman who was talking about it. He said, go get these 2 different tests. It'll tell you what your body's lacking. Because everybody's different to a certain extent.
Right.
You might receive zinc in your body better than I take zinc in mine, whatever it may be.
Right.
But I'm all for that kind of stuff. If it can help you live a better, healthier life for a longer period of time, where you can be around your family longer, you can see, have more interaction with your kids while raising them.
Right.
I'm all for it. I'm all for science. I'm all for AI being able to assist in that regard.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But the things that I don't like about it, like the one thing I really don't like about it is there's no human connection, right? So they make decisions based on calculations, right? Odds, probability of something. I think when you take the human connection out of certain things, that's a problem, especially when it comes to, with regards to people's lives being at stake.
It's
that for me is a problem.
So would you rather have like a doctor who's had, 30, 40 years of medical experience and go with his gut versus, and I'm not saying right or wrong, just would you rather have the guy go with his gut or the woman go with her gut, or would you rather have the computer that has all of the information?
I would rather somebody make the effort to save the life and not go and say, like, this is the scenario I think of, that, a computer is going to say, well, there's only a 2% chance or probability that this person's going to live if we continue this procedure. Well, there's still 2%. Like, then they just stop the procedure. Like, that's what worries me.
I want togetherness. Like, I want the computer to come back and say, like, look, do the surgery. Just understand there's a 2% probability of this patient surviving the surgery.
Right.
But if you want to do it, this is based off the information because the thing is, with any sort of technology, you have to provide it the information. You have to provide it the data.
Right.
You have to create the code. You have to write all of that. So if you're inputting the code, it can only go off the base of the information that you're giving it. The whole idea of AI becoming sentient, becoming self-aware.
Right.
Now you're not giving it data. Now it can think for itself.
Right.
Which is where you start seeing the Matrix and Terminator.
Right. Well, that's also the other problem, right? Who's feeding it the data? Data can be manipulated.
Yeah, it usually is.
Right. So that's the other dangerous part of it, right? Depending on who has their hands in it, you never know what's going to happen with it. Yeah. It only takes, somebody being able to control something like that and feeding it the data to, fucking drop a nuke on Russia or, Korea or something wild, So it really, who's feeding the AI data is also something that's really important and should be a concern for people.
Yeah.
Who's going to control those types of things? How are you going to keep people with extreme views out of doing things like that and corrupting a system like that?
Or you say you're doing it in the interest of like national security.
Right. Like whatever fucking rationalization they're going to try to wrap it around.
That's all it is, a rationalization.
Right. How are you going to control it? Right. I mean, who's going to control those things?
Yeah.
So I think letting it get too far is a potential problem. And whose hands it's in is also should be a concern of everybody's.
Well, I think That too, when you talk about AI, you talk about the idea of like who's inputting the data, and you see like these cyber breaches all the time too.
Right.
So if you have all this information, whether it be, classified, national secrecy information that's being put in, are these AI systems vulnerable to cyber attacks? Are they vulnerable to being compromised? And what's the risk of having that information then shared with somebody who you don't want to have it?
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
It's like WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks, except that was voluntary.
No, it was voluntary, but I'm just saying, imagine a system where it was just, kind of being done, right? They were making the decision to put that shit out there.
I want both, right? Like, I don't want the robots deciding for me, but I can appreciate the value that they add. The improved quality of life, we talked about it from like a medical perspective. What about from like the idea of having like smart cities, right? Where like, I want to, was in Futurama where they have like tubes that can take you everywhere. What about like a mass transit smart system where essentially it's automated, stops here? Or I always like had this idea of like getting on a highway and you don't drive. You just put your car here and then the lanes start moving and bring you where you need to go.
Right. It's like, what was the movie? Fifth Element with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Or even iRobot.
Yeah.
They had the same cars like that. Like something like that would be cool. Absolutely. If it could be done the right way, I feel like we're so far off. I don't know if you and me will ever see that in our lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, maybe to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But like, it's not going to, like, we're not going to be, spring chickens while this stuff comes out.
This is not going to be the Jetsons.
Yeah. Like, I remember when the Titanic took off. It was the greatest coal power engine.
Right. But yeah, for things like that, I think it would be welcomed, right? Like those things I think would benefit us, especially as a society. It would make transit much more convenient. It would be probably many less accidents, I would imagine.
Yeah.
When you take human error out of the mix. If you can get it that perfected, of course,
yes.
that's the thing, right? Like how long is it going to take to get it to a place where, cars aren't just fucking taking over and piling up on the side of the road because the system's flawed or the safety mechanisms go down. I mean, that's the problem Tesla's having right now, right? That's why they just did 2 million recalls on their cars because of the safety mechanisms in the auto drive. Like that's scary shit. They say, what was it, that one accident that the guy was on auto drive where he went off the cliff?
Oh, yeah.
Now, he may have been negligent in it, but at the end of the day, you're really never going to know. Like, I don't care what they say, you're not going to. So,
Was he on autopilot?
I think he was on autopilot. Yeah, I don't really know the exact specifics of it.
Yeah.
But I believe they're going after him. But everybody goes after him anytime there's a problem with the car.
Well, I mean, if it's, you put it on self-drive and it drives off a cliff.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing. Like, it's not like this guy, it's not like he claims that you don't have to pay attention.
Well, no, it's assisted driving.
It's assisted driving.
You're right.
Right.
You're not supposed to be negligent napping.
No, you're supposed to take it as just that, assisted driving.
Right. You're still supposed to have, your feet, hands, like, ready.
Like, it's cool. It's cool that it can be done, right? Like, that you can kind of just, because listen, even just having to pay attention to keeping the steering wheel straight on long rides is mentally straining sometimes. Oh, yeah. So the fact that you can kind of kick back and relax a little bit more than just putting it on cruise control is awesome. But that doesn't mean you should be fucking taking a nap.
Power naps.
Right, or changing in the back seat of your car while the car drives for itself. Like I could see idiots like literally going into the back seat, just kind of fucking kick back and relax, and then literally trying to reach out and just touch the steering wheel like every couple of minutes so it keeps going. Like, that's not what it's there for, and you're a fucking dope if you do it.
Stupid question. I already know the answer. Can't drink in an automated vehicle, right?
No, you can't. It's still a DWI.
It's still a DWI, folks. Yeah.
So yeah, for those of you that could think that they're going to be able to say, "Oh, well, technically I wasn't driving." No, you were driving.
Dude, did you see that video? Can you pull this up real quick?
Yeah.
It's a video from like the 1980s, might be late 70s, early 80s, where they started banning drinking and driving, and it was easy target. It's somewhere in the South. And, they're interviewing people and they're like, well,
the ban on drinking and driving?
Yeah. It was like a news report and like, well, trying to take away our freedoms.
Oh, yeah. That was that one lady. He goes, now I come home from work and I can't even have a beer on my way home.
I have a long day. I have a long shift. I want to crack a couple cold ones.
Yeah. Next thing you know, they're going to be taking our guns from us. Oh, man. So let's see. When did they ban alcohol? It was, I think, in the 80s, actually. What is the ban on alcohol called?
Which doesn't seem like that long ago.
and driving. No, there was a time my uncle got pulled over when he was a kid for drinking and driving, and the cop just said, all right, you've had a little too much. Let me just follow you back to your house. Like, they were very casual about it in the beginning.
Well, it wasn't against law.
Right. So, as a result, drunk driving was made illegal in Florida in 1986. So, let's see.
That's less than 40 years ago.
I was 3 years old, and you were still allowed to drink and drive in the U.S. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, so it was drunk driving became illegal in all 50 states in 1988 when the National Minimum Drinking Age Act was fully implemented. The act required all states to set the legal drinking age at 21 and also made it illegal to drive with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08% or higher.
That still bothers me, though.
That's one beer.
The 21-year-old thing.
What? I know, it's pretty wild. Like, you can go off to war and fight at 18 years old, but you
get
can't
shot in
drink
the
a beer.
face
Right.
by the enemy at 18.
Right.
You can buy a gun at 18.
Right. I can go defend my country at 18, but I can't have a
I can have a Bud
beer.
Light. Fuck you.
Right. You have the brain capacity and wherewithal to go to war.
Die for your country.
Right. Die for your country, create strategies, right? Hunt the enemy.
Can't order a glass from Merlot.
Right. But you are not mature enough to order a beer at a bar at 18 years old. It's pretty fucking ridiculous. It's just such a hypocrisy. It's like, it's insane. You know, but again, they have their bullshit rationalizations for things like that too. And the crazy thing is the drinking age used to be 18.
Yeah, no, I remember my mom was telling me, Candlelight over in Hartsdale.
Yeah.
So I was telling my mom that your brother and I went a couple of years ago when we went, and shout out Candlelight, fucking best ways.
I know you guys love that fucking place.
You don't?
I've only had it once, and I don't remember it being like the best ever. Island Wings in Jacksonville is amazing, though.
Down here?
Jacksonville.
Florida,
yeah. Yeah. Down here, but up north of us.
Jacksonville's like right over the border, right?
Yeah, it's closer to Georgia.
Yeah.
St. Augustine.
But, yeah, she was telling me when she used to go drink there.
Right.
It's like, you were in high school. She was like, yeah, I was 18.
Yeah, it was 18. Then they actually made it 19, and then they made it 21.
18, 19, 21?
Yep.
Is Canada 19 now?
I don't know. Let's see. Canada drinking age.
Certain provinces might be.
We're gonna pull this up. Doug, we're gonna show this to everybody. We're gonna show everybody the drinking age in Canada. 19 years old. Drinking age in Canada is 19 years old.
Up to 90 because that's where we used to go.
Right. See, they can do it.
For spring break.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes our country is built around these crazy hypocrisies.
Well, they still have blue laws in a lot of states.
They do, where you can't drink on Sundays before 12.
Right. Yeah. Or I think it's retail, too. Like, you can't.
Not in Florida.
Not in Florida. Wild West down here. But you guys still don't legalize, or it's not recreational for marijuana.
Marijuana, yeah.
You guys want a gun? Take 3.
Right.
You want to smoke weed? Fuck you, hippie.
I think anything on the real liberal side, they try to stay away from.
Yeah.
I don't know
like
why.
people who have, cancer, they can't go. But it's medical.
Well, it's
though,
medicinal.
Right?
Yeah. You can get it for medical.
Is it hard to get a card?
No, it's not hard. It might as well be recreational because it's extremely easy to
go
get
to a doctor. Just be like, I have AIDS in both of my eyes.
Yeah, right.
You get a card.
I don't know if it has to be that extreme, but I'm pretty sure you can tell them you have knee or shoulder pain.
I don't sleep well. You should have seen the last guy. He had AIDS in both his eyes. That's all I had to do.
But no, they're pretty good about it. I mean, listen, anything to keep people off of opiates, right? So if they can, replace it with
Florida
marijuana, that's what they do.
Pot calling the kettle black.
Oh, dude. Well, honestly, this state was like a fucking pill mill.
Yeah, you got Florida, home of the pill mill.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
That should be your state logo.
Did you ever see what was it called? It was with Michael Keaton. Oh, yeah, Michael Keaton.
Oh,
it was about
Dope
the
Sick.
pandemic. Dope Sick.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's a hard watch, man.
Those fucking people. It's amazing how Florida was so either they were just ignorant to it, or they just really just were making money hand over fist and give a fuck, turn a blind eye to it. But these
100%.
doctors were like, it was crazy. People were literally driving from different states, coming to this fucking state, and they would
Lines
line
wrapped
up
around the building.
outside of pain management clinics, have to fill out a fucking form. Where's the pain? What's the pain level? They had this stupid fucking chart. They would prescribe the medication.
Did you see the chart?
Yeah, it's on
It
the
was
chart.
like literally like in the hospital for kids,
Right,
like
it was
1 to 10.
It was smiley faces, right? Like, where's your pain level at? And the crazy thing about that is Purdue Pharma, the main manufacturers of Oxycontin and Oxycodone, created that chart.
Do you know what they
actually
did,
got
though?
approved by the FDA,
So-
which was ridiculous and a huge conflict.
The way they got it approved by the FDA is obviously a government agency. Government
Right.
agencies aren't known for paying exorbitantly well. Purdue Pharma at the time was worth, billions and billions of dollars. So what they started doing is they started hiring people from the FDA to work for them and saying, hey, what do we need to do? What do we need to write in legislation to get this approved? What do our bylaws need to say to show that this isn't addictive? It's not habit forming. They would hire people directly from the FDA to tell them what to say.
Those guys, and I'll say this, I don't give a fuck. Those scumbags in that family did everything they could to push that pill out into the world. And they knew exactly what the fucking consequences would be.
It was heroin in a pill.
They knew that it was going to be an extreme addiction for people. It was caused a fucking opiate pandemic, okay? And it was ridiculous.
Oh, it's still ravaging this country.
It's insane what they did to this country. The fact that they got off with just fines is fucking absurd. They should be locked away and imprisoned for the rest of their fucking lives. The things that they did, how they went around the system, the way that they got the FDA involved, the way that they fucking manipulated the system to make billions off of the misery, the amount of lives that this fucking country lost to those drugs.
And not just the lives lost, the families of those who lost their lives.
They devastated families. People lost their careers, their lives, children overdosing. The mere fact that they lied about it intentionally to push that medication, they should be imprisoned. The fact that that is only civil is outrageous, and things like that show me that there's a huge flaw in our justice system.
Yes.
Okay? There's no way they should be one of the wealthiest families in the world still to this day. They should have been stripped of every fucking penny they ever made.
Mansion should have been bulldozed on fucking pay-per-view.
Every fucking penny. They should have been as miserable as the fucking people that they created through the opiates that they pushed out.
Should have gotten them hooked on opioids.
Yeah, it's outrageous. It still fucking fires me up to this day that they got away with what they got away with. Fuck them. Okay, I hope their entire fucking legacy burns to the ground. Outrageous.
Why don't you tell me how you really feel?
No, it's crazy, dude. Those people are just they're fucking scum of the earth, dude. Everything about that family, they are the scum of the earth. They are the epitome of what's wrong with people in this country.
They had, what was it, the way they got around the abusing it? They put like the time release capsule.
Right, the time release coding.
So it's fine. That's so it's not abuse. You can't abuse it.
Right.
Oh, well, it's just chop it up and fucking snort it then.
You didn't decide to let it be known that people can literally wipe the coding off, right? Like that was impertinent information. And then the fact that they got away with putting that it was non-addictive because it was time released over a certain period of time.
The government approved it.
Well, the government approved it because they manipulated the system. And listen, I'm not fucking absolving them from anything either. But at the end of the day, and then they're hiring people from the FDA. Like, what are you fucking saying? Like, that should never be allowed to happen.
Right.
You honestly, in my eyes, you should never be able to leave the FDA and go work for a private pharmaceutical company. Period. Because it's just a workaround. It's just trying to hire people that can work you around the system.
That's all it was.
And this is fucking medication we're talking about. These are people's lives. These are pharmaceuticals that have to go out to help people.
No, and this isn't a fucking White Claw you're creating. It's not a recreational thing to do on a Tuesday to blow off some steam.
No.
It's hardcore illicit drugs, which are habit forming, and it's going to destroy your life, your family's lives, your livelihood, your career, your finances. It's hardcore drugs that you pick up at CVS.
Yeah, 100%, dude. You should not be able to do it. It should be a huge conflict of interest, and you should be banned by law from doing it, period.
I was saying if you work for the FDA, like a non-compete kind of thing.
That's it. You're done. Yeah. And if you even get caught having a conversation with a private pharmaceutical company while you work for the FDA, you should be fired immediately.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's insane. I think back to it, I see movies like that, and it literally eats me to my core. They got off easy, truly.
You see it so many times, though. That's what happens when you have money, man.
Yeah, you do. But, listen, I get it. There's a lot of cases, civil cases, right, that fucking, oil spills, poison in the water, chemical, like all that shit. I get it, right? And maybe those companies overlooked certain things or turned a blind eye to things. But this family was very calculated.
This was knowingly.
They knowingly did what they did. They knew the consequences of it. They were told in emails from people. They hid everything, even from their sales reps. So they were meticulous about it. They were calculated.
Oh, you mean with the sales reps talking about the ramifications
they would
and
get
pushing
they
it?
would get emails from these fucking people.
Oh, it's not true. Don't read that.
Right.
You know, there's going to be a hit piece out on us.
Right.
Keep doing your thing.
Right. They'd make employees sign NDAs fucking so that they couldn't talk and they were fucking gagged from ever speaking of it. They did things literally that made them complacent in it. Like,
well, they had whistleblowers who were essentially like to destroy their lives. That's the thing.
They did.
You can't, I shouldn't say you can't. Most people don't want to go against a $1 billion corporation. They will destroy you. They will destroy your life. They will strip you of everything you have. Right. They will make you look like a horrible person. They will dig up your past. Everyone's got skeletons. They will make you out to be the villain.
Right. I get it. But here's the thing. Like,
or they just buy them off. Here's 100,000. Shut the fuck up.
It's not just them to blame. It was Congress at the time. It was the government. It was everybody. Like there's no way that anybody should have been able to look at the fucking numbers, okay, of the way crime went up, the way pharmacies were being robbed,
the way economies in certain towns and cities went down.
Right. The way the drug addiction increased, okay, and it was all in line with Purdue's drug.
No.
There's no way that half the people that turned a blind eye to that should have. These people were fucking greedy. They were making money. Doctors getting kickbacks. And I swear, to this day, every doctor that ever fucking prescribed it the way that they did should not have be a license. Practicing right now.
Weird.
They should be fucking done. Every one of them. Every fucking congressman in office that turned a blind eye to it should be done. Every DA, every fucking lawyer, everybody that tried to help these scumbags should be done. Look at what they did to the world. Look at what the fuck is going on today in this world, and it all started with them. Still not fucking over. People still struggle every day of their lives, and it all started with them.
You create these horrible ramifications, and if you go to certain towns, I know, like parts of Massachusetts, Cape Cod, like Providence, I know still has a horrible problem with it. Portland, Maine, I know has a problem with it. I mean, you start getting these opiates, you start getting these pills, and then they become expensive. You lose your job, you lose your insurance, but you still need your fix. Now you're turning to heroin.
Right.
It's, it goes downhill quick.
Yeah, no, so they perpetuated a really horrible fucking thing.
And they allowed it to happen.
They did. They allowed it to happen. And the crazy thing is the people who benefit off of it are now the drug addiction recovery clinics. Like, and that's fine. I get it. Some of these people are genuinely trying to help, but I'm telling you, there are definitely people out there opening up methadone clinics because it's profitable for them.
Yeah.
So it's like
recovery. It's
insane. It's like they created this world where they created a huge fucking epidemic, and then they created whatever, if you could even call it a solution to it, another system where people could be treated for it. And they're just making money on the other end of it for something that they fucking started.
I know an individual who he has a couple of clinics down here. It had nothing to do with perpetuating it in any capacity, but he recognizes that there's a need for it.
Right.
And he creates a service, and the fact that he can turn a profit on it, he's not upset about that either.
No, I get that.
And again, if you're offering a service and there's a need for that service, then you should be compensated for the work you're putting in. If you're building the building and you're staffing it, bringing in nurses and RNs and doctors, and you're putting the beds in and you're paying for the lights, then you should be paid for the services you're offering.
Right.
But it's insane, he said, where he could open 10 more and he said he'd still make money. A lot of money.
It's still so fucking horrible. But the crazy thing about it is these fucking pharmaceutical companies still reap the benefits of it. Why? Because most of these fucking clinics are methadone clinics, which is another fucking opiate. The reason why they are able to use it to get heroin addicts off of heroin and oxys is because the half-life of it is so much longer that it sustains them for a longer period of time throughout the day with methadone.
Right. So
it's an extremely controlled opiate substance. It's one of the strongest. They used to use it back in wars. So
a pain reliever, right?
It's a pain reliever. Yeah, it is an opiate. So but it's crazy. It's like, look, the same, I don't want to say the same people because it's not Purdue, but the same people that push these opiates, right? Like now they're using an opiate.
Well, what can we do now to make money?
Correct the problem, right? But it's not a correction for the problem. It's a switch addiction.
Right. You're creating a problem, and now, coincidentally enough, you're there to catch them when they fall.
Right. And how are you doing it? You're doing it by prescribing these people another opiate, right? Yeah, I understand it gives stability to their life. They're able to take the dose, but it's so controlled. These people have to literally walk into clinics every morning. They're not even allowed to get it prescribed from a doctor. They have to go get their medicine every morning. So you're handcuffed to this lifestyle for as long as you're on it. And they charge endless amounts of money for it. So these people literally have to live paying an expense, some of them, for the rest of their lives because they just have been on it so long they cannot get off of it.
Well, it alters your brain chemistry.
Oh, yeah.
Entirely.
It rewires you completely.
Yeah.
you know, and these people become so dependent on it. And of course, who's reaping the benefits? The pharmaceutical companies who create the opiates.
I think it was Dr. Drew, if I remember correctly, but I think it was on a podcast I was listening to, and they called Dr. Drew in, and they were talking about different drugs, and they were talking about like weed and cocaine, and they said, well, what's the one drug that scares you the most? And he said, like, the one drug that has the ability to immediately alter your brain chemistry is crack cocaine.
Right.
Like one use of crack cocaine, like there's a good chance you will not be the same person. Even if you never do it again,
right.
It has the ability to immediately like rewire your brain.
Oh, it's
but in terms of being habit forming, I mean, heroin's got to be.
No, it is. It's the most habit forming.
I mean, immediate.
It rewires you're like I think it rewires like the neurochemistry in your brain. Like you're even when you're off of it, you're never 100% again. So it takes like about a year for your system to really get back to baseline. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem with it, right? That's why people can't get away from it. That's why relapse in the first year is so high, because even though you're off of it, chemically you're not dependent on it anymore. Your brain just like you want it, you need it, right? And it takes very little for you to go off that edge.
But if you're still continuing, and I don't know this, but if you're still continuously taking methadone and you still have opiates in your system,
right?
You're still doing opiates.
Yeah, you're not healing. No,
right.
You don't start healing until you get off the opiates.
Physically, you're healing, meaning that
like your life will get back.
Right.
If you use the process correctly, you'll get your life back in order.
But in terms of your brain wiring, it's not going to change until you're quote unquote cold turkey or weaned off, or however you decide to do it.
Typically, they'll wean you off of methadone very, very slowly so that you don't struggle. Because a big fear for people is the sickness of it.
Well, physically, yeah.
Right. Physically, it makes you very ill.
Right.
So
heart attack, stroke, like it can.
Right. It could, depending on, you know, your body chemistry or maybe medical conditions you have underlying. Yeah, it could cause things like that. But yeah, the biggest thing is just people fearing being able to function when they're off. Like some people just genuinely fear they won't make it day to day without it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are,
Yeah. So it's a fucking handcuff, right? It's like they need to come up with a solution to keep people off of this stuff, and they need to find a way, which I'm sure they could come up with something that doesn't require people to switch addictions over to another opiate, and keep them hooked on something else, because that's what it is. They know it. Like they're keeping you hooked on something else.
Well, I put it like this. Could a pharmaceutical company potentially create a magic pill? And again, hypothetical. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not red pilling it here. I'm not going down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories. Could they create a pill where you take it and your brain is now like, no, we're good? Could they? Hypothetically, yes.
Maybe, yeah.
Would they? No, because there's no fucking money in it.
No, they wouldn't. But they shouldn't even offer method. In my opinion, don't get me wrong. Like I get that it helps people, but there's another drug called Suboxone, right? It's not an opiate, but it tricks your opiate receptors into thinking it's taking an opiate.
That you're receiving an opiate.
Right. So it keeps you from going through those withdrawals, right? And you're also not ingesting an opiate. So what this fucking country should do, what these congressmen and governors should do in these states, is they should only allow people to move over to Suboxone. They should do. They should not allow people to switch addictions over to methadone to get off another opiate. Like that's what they need to stop, because the Suboxone does just fine for most people, and that's what they need to do. They need to stop perpetuating the fucking cycle and get people away from it so they can correct the issue, okay, and not keep it going continuously to line their pockets with money.
Yeah, I mean, then comes the other argument. Well, if you don't get it there, you'll get it somewhere else.
Yeah, I get it, but at that point, at least you're not the one perpetuating the problem.
Yep.
You can't stop what people are going to do.
No,
but you don't have to give them avenues to access it.
That's fair.
You don't have to be part of the fucking problem, part of the solution.
I said last week, what was it, or 2 weeks ago, Batman, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Right.
Like, it's fucked up though. But all of this could have been avoided. Money, money, money.
Yeah, it is. It's unfortunate, but
what's your favorite dystopian future movie?
What was it with Denzel Washington? Obviously, I'm a huge Denzel Washington fan.
I know you.
Let's look it up. Denzel Washington.
Oh, the one with Gary Oldman and Mila Kunis?
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
Eli, Book of Eli.
Eli, the Book of Eli.
Yeah. That was a great movie.
That was definitely my favorite.
It's pretty gangster.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Beginning when he slices off the guy's arm.
The amazing part was that he was blind the whole time.
I know.
I mean, seriously.
And they don't reveal it to the end.
What a twist.
Little M. Night Shyamalan.
What a twist.
He didn't direct that, did he?
No, I don't think so.
He definitely didn't.
I love movies with twists like that.
At the end,
Yeah, that was pretty wild, though.
see The Sixth Sense?
Sixth Sense was great.
He's dead in it the whole
He
time.
was dead the whole time.
Spoiler.
There's still people to this day that don't get it.
That he was dead the whole time?
Yeah, they just don't get it. I don't know why. It's weird. It's like, wait, really? Like, no, that wasn't it. Like, yeah, that was it. The movie's like 30 years old. That was it. Pretty sure everybody knows by now.
His movies started getting a little weird after that, though.
His did?
Yeah, because he always, then at that point, he had such a hard on, I feel like, forgetting like the twist in it.
Right.
Like, remember what was the Village? Where it was
With
like
M. Night
Yeah,
Shyamalan?
yeah. There was like the movie The Village where it's like they have the monsters out in the woods.
I know.
It's like, well, no, it's just a little cult town that they
Right.
blocked off from society, and
Right.
you know,
He did another one with, he's done a lot of weird shit. Oh, he did Signs.
Signs was all right.
Signs was all right with Mel Gibson.
He did it wasn't one with Marky Mark, where like they couldn't, like the trees were starting to poison the people.
Happening.
Yeah, that was actually I kind of like that.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. Zoe
Weird,
Deschanel.
weird, but good. He does a lot of stuff. He had a TV show on recently. I forgot the name. I won't get into it. But
Matrix is mine.
he's great though.
Matrix is the shit.
Matrix is a great movie.
And there's with the Wachowski sisters now. They had this whole universe of the Matrix, like
Right.
not just the 3 movies. Obviously they have the 3 movies, and they did the newer one on HBO, I think a year or 2 ago.
Right.
But there's like this whole intersecting timelines of the Matrix, and like there's vampires involved.
Really?
Yeah, it goes deep, man. Like there's a real rabbit hole with the Matrix that they created this universe for.
That's pretty cool. Are they gonna make movies about it though?
I know in the video games they reference them, like the vampire stories of them.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's like Star Wars too. Like there's so many different like
I know.
branches of it. It's not just how 47 movies they've made now.
I know. They feel like there's too many of them now.
I get confused.
It's get out of control.
You get overwhelmed. But you
I didn't watch it from the very beginning, so I think maybe that's part of the problem. But
with Marvel, you were like, you got to know the whole timeline.
You do.
And that's why this
You
is
do.
this. I'm like, I got shit to do. I got
know.
work tomorrow.
I think I just because I started watching them from the very beginning, so I
Marvel?
I kind of just was always watching them as they came out.
I don't know if I've ever seen one in the movies,
Right.
but I've seen them, most of them since.
Yeah.
They're fucking great.
They are. They're super entertaining.
Yeah.
They are. And they have good time. They do. They have good story plots. Like they really do have great plots.
I like the character development. Like the first time you see Thor, he's so serious.
I know.
And then he becomes kind of like,
They made it.
he's like a joke at the end.
I know they made it calm. I don't like the way they did that so dramatically.
But
at the end.
Ragnarok was so funny.
It was funny.
Like Ragnarok was such a good movie. I'm assuming you saw it.
DC guy. You're a Star Wars guy for sure. You are.
Fucking nerd.
What was the new one that came out? The series for Star Wars.
Oh, Rosario Dawson, who was my celebrity crush.
Rosario Dawson. Was that Shannon? Maybe.
Yeah. It
What was it called?
She had like the
and Sherry. What the fuck was it? The started with an M.
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
They did a new one now.
They did a new one.
There's a newer series with Rosario Dawson.
Is it?
Yeah, that just came out. Well, the Mandalorian was Boba Fett. Do you have any idea how many people we're pissing off right now getting this all confused?
I know. By the way, guys, we're talking to production guy Doug, the guy who makes all this happen.
Dougie Fresh.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Big Dick Doug.
Boba Fett, you said, has its own spinoff from the Mandalorian show. Okay, just to give you guys, in case you guys can't hear Doug. No, so I'm gonna speak for Doug.
So Boba Fett is a spinoff of the Mandalorian. Mandalorian's better. Fuck Boba Fett is what you're saying.
Yeah, well,
All right, so hot take for you, Doug. What's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Episode 2. Okay, so the 5th Star Wars installment is Doug's favorite.
Which one was that?
I'm gonna start off.
Anakin's now like an adult, but he's still a young adult and still learning the Jedi.
Before he starts killing kids.
Kylo Ren one, did he murder a bunch of kids too?
Yeah, I'm gonna start from the fifth installment now, just to see what Doug's. Just
I feel like
to
if
see
you
what,
missed the first
just
four.
to see what the smoke's all about.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. Oh, that's where they're going to different planets and they see them all like developing these massive armies.
Do clones have their own autonomy? Is the question at it? It's a good question.
That's probably gonna.
So yeah, we digressed a little bit, but I think that's pretty much it for today. And what do you think, Robbie? Calling it quits.
I think AI can be extremely impactful. Could be
Yeah, it could
extremely
be.
beneficial. It can be extremely useful. But I also think that the idea of it being sentient and self-aware scares the shit out of me.
Yeah,
So
it's got to be. You got to proceed with caution with it for sure.
Right.
You don't need any Terminator movies.
Was it Google? Like where the AI was like, yeah, no, humans are a problem.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. Like,
Did it?
that's where it becomes a problem. It's like when they come to like feeding it information, like they draw those conclusions based off of information that's being fed to it.
But did they draw those conclusions because of the data that they inputted, or did the AI draw that conclusion because it's now self-aware and sentient?
Well, I don't know if they said that it was self-aware, but it has to get the data from somewhere, right? So it has to come from us initially.
I suppose. I hope so.
But
I
that's
hope so.
the thing. Like, so yeah, I don't know how real that was, or if it was just fucking bullshit.
Well, Chris, it was on the internet, so
yeah, it must be real.
It's true.
Absolutely.
Come on, don't be stupid.
It was on Google. It has to be real. It was on Google about Google, so it has to be real.
It was on the internet machine, the Google box.
But that's the other part of it that makes me nervous. I feel like, no one's ever, kind of on the level with you about any of this shit. I feel like it's always secrets and
right. How transparent are they actually being?
Like misinformation. I just feel like they're not ever going to be that transparent about it. So we'll never really know, and that also concerns me. And like I said, I have a problem with not knowing who's going to dictate how these AIs are
who gets to control it.
Yeah, that's a huge problem for me.
It scares the shit out of me.
It does. So,
do you ever think about prepping? Like the doomsday preppers.
For prepping for a doomsday scenario?
Yeah.
Yeah, like what? Like a bomb shelter? Or fucking,
yeah. As I get older...
I never thought about it.
As I get older, I'm like, it's not that crazy.
I guess not. I don't know. I guess I've never thought that I'd see something like that in my lifetime. Not to say it won't happen.
After the recession, I'm just like, all right, cool, economic collapse, here we come.
Yeah. Well,
we've had too many like close calls over the past 15 years where I'm like, this shit's pretty fragile.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea necessarily, or a crazy idea for someone to build a bomb shelter. Considering there's always the possibility of war, and there's so many fucking nuclear powers in the world today. It's not beyond, imagination to think that someone's going to drop one day. So yeah, I don't think it's bizarre that somebody would want to build a bomb shelter,
right,
by any stretch.
Or at the very least, get like a couple, because they sell like those like 5-gallon jugs of like the MREs.
Right.
Like get those, like
meals ready to eat.
Yeah, have some of those. Have some like some water. Have some batteries. Have some masks with like the the gas. Like have some shit.
Yeah, I just don't know how long you could possibly live like that.
Probably not that long, but I mean, shit. Maybe if you get a week and you can get to another location, or, I don't know.
Someone drops a nuke, or a few of them, you're eating a lot more than a week.
That's why we used to live right by Indian Point up in New York, and that was like the big thing
the power
after.
Plant, I know.
Yeah, right after 9/11, that was the big thing. Like, is this a target because it was the closest power plant to New York City, nuclear power plant?
I would think it would be a target. Absolutely.
I think it's decommissioned now. Pretty sure it's entirely decommissioned. I think
so, yeah. I think they had problems over there, too.
Safety issues?
Yeah,
a few.
Sure. Just remember, everybody, we're doing the $75,000 giveaway. All you have to do to be eligible is either follow us on Instagram or subscribe on YouTube and comment on your favorite video. Remember, we need to reach 1 million subscribers or followers by February 13th. So 60 days from when we started on the 19th of December to February 13th. And we will actually be announcing the winner on that same day, on that episode at 5 a.m. that Tuesday on February 13th. So guys, definitely subscribe, follow, leave a comment. We are looking forward to giving this money away to one of you, our viewers, the people who are responsible for how successful we are. And we're looking very much forward to giving back to you. Remember to follow us on TikTok at Not For Nothing Podcast, on IG at notfornothing.podcast. And you can watch all episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Thank you. That's it for the day. Robbie, peace out.
My guy.
Later.